another episode of the No Grow Scale podcast with one of the very best in the business. And there are very few people that I interviewed that are south of me here in Jackson, Mississippi. So I'm really excited to have Shawn Torres on the podcast. Shawn, if you don't mind, introduce yourself, and I'm going to dig right in, ask some questions so that we can learn from how you've grown your business at In-Telecom.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. It's Shawn Torres. I'm a CEO and co-founder of In-Telecom. We're based out of Slidell, Louisiana, offices in Louisiana and in Texas, but clients in, I think, 39 states today. I think
You
that's
kind of
what it
stopped
is.
counting at some point, right?
Yeah, I think it's 39. It could be more, I know
That's
it's
a
over
good thing.
39.
That's
So,
right. That's
um,
awesome. Well, I love, I got to sit beside you and some of your team a couple of weeks ago at the Net Sapiens Crescendo
yeah, that was
UGM
fun.
meeting, and really honestly enjoy kind of hearing the backstory because everyone's is unique and yours is a bit unconventional, I think, or just kind of shows the
Some of
grind
it.
that you've had to kind of get to where you are today. So talk about your origin story, what made you decide to focus on this particular business type as you started in telecom?
Well, in 2009, I was working for Verizon Wireless. I was actually doing wireless sales,
Yep.
and they had bought Alltel. I was one of their top reps, and I guess there was numbers on papers, and I got let go. I guess I was making too much money. I decided,
That'll get you going quick,
yeah,
huh?
yes. I think I made a decision at that point that I was not gonna go back to work for someone. I wanted to
Yep.
control my own destiny. I
Yep.
told my wife that I was going to start my own company, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had just opened up at Anytime Fitness, so I'd owned a business, but kind of did it as a side investment with my partner Jimmy, who's my partner in telecom as well, was my partner in the gym, and we decided that we're going to start a consulting company and actually save people on money on their cell phones and landline bills and take a percentage of the savings. That's where the name In-Telecom came from.
Love it.
So no idea that I was going to end up being a tech firm at all.
Mhm.
Really
Mhm.
just kind of fell into that and tried to get it going. In 2009, it was a terrible year for us. We did
Mm.
$8,400 in sales, total top line revenue. 2010 was still struggling. Actually, in 2010, we only did 64,000 in top line revenue. So in 2 years, we didn't break 100,000.
Mm.
And then at the end of 2010, I had a client that wanted to buy a phone system, and we were out getting him quotes because we were his telecom consultant,
Right,
right, per
right,
se. And we're
right.
getting him quotes, and Jimmy asked me one day and said, "What if we sold him the phone system?" And I remember looking at Jimmy and saying, "Well, what the hell do we know about phone systems? We're going to sell these people a phone system." And he had done some research and figured out that we could go get certified in the Avaya IP office, and
Yeah.
that's really what started the journey. I remember putting that
Yeah.
phone system in and actually making some money after putting it in. It was a disaster putting it in, but we got it done,
They didn't
and
have to know that, right?
they did.
They did.
Oh, they did. Mr. Brian's still a client today.
Oh, that's
A
good. That's good.
long time client, and I'm thankful for him every day that he gave me that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because if we wouldn't have gave me that opportunity, we wouldn't be sitting here today for
Yeah.
sure.
I feel like we probably all have that client or that customer that we can look back
Oh,
on
I'm
and
forever.
say, "That's
He's like
awesome."
family to me. And again, my life would not be what it is today without him giving us an
Yeah.
opportunity to do that for him. And
To make
so,
mistakes.
yes, made
Yeah.
lots of mistakes.
I love it. So you mentioned, that revenue growth was slow at first, and I kind of it's funny when you said you told your wife you're about to do this. I feel kind of in a reverse level of my husband who's in ministry. I told him the same thing, and I thank God for spouses who are supportive, right? But what about that biggest? I'd say first year, first 2 years. What would you say? Okay, this goes down in history as the biggest challenge that we faced that we had to overcome.
I think it was in 2012 when in 2011 my wife had kind of given me an ultimatum, and she got pregnant and was having my oldest daughter, and
Mm,
that's when things really got real. Was
yeah,
it wasn't like I was providing for just her and I.
right.
I was bringing a child into this world, so I recognized that. I remember telling Jimmy, like, man, we got to make this work.
Yeah.
So in 2011 was the first year we actually broke 250,000. And I remember telling him in 2012 that I was going to do a million in we were going to do a million in revenue. And I think it was just an infatuation of like saying we are going to do a million, right?
Yeah.
There was no
Yeah.
real science behind it. And I remember
Yeah.
him asking me, like, how are we going to do a million? I said, well, if you do $83,333 a month for 12 months, you do $1 million.
Just work backwards. Yeah.
And that
Work
was
into
kind
the
of it.
number.
That was kind of it for
Yeah.
me. That was really the first year. And in hindsight, not even recognizing what we were doing, I think that attributes a lot to goal setting
Yeah.
and thinking about your business in a way where if you're not setting goals
Yeah.
and setting out expectations for yourself and holding yourself accountable to those
Yeah.
goals,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of business owners out there that want to blame others for not getting to where they want to go.
Yeah.
But at the end of the
What
day, I
is it?
mean,
If you fail to plan, if you
you fail to
yeah,
plan.
you'll plan to yeah.
If you
Fail to
fail to plan,
plan,
you
you
plan to
plan to
fail.
fail. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think that's where when I look at the business and what we did, and I think the most pivotal though for Jimmy and I was in 2011. We recognized that we did not understand tech,
Mm.
nor did we really know how to be a tech. Everything we had learned was on our own. We made an investment on a gentleman by the name of James Estopanol that we hired. That James is the longest tenured employee in telecom still today. And when he came in, that was kind of the pivotal moment. And I remember James telling me how much money he needed to make, and me and Jimmy weren't even making that much at the time. And I think it was taking that leap of faith of I recognized that if I did not hire people that knew how to do the work, that like we were never really going to grow.
Right.
And those
Right.
people were going to require a salary. And I think sometimes, and again, I think it goes back to just like anything else, it's an investment, right? And you're
Mhm.
making an
Mhm.
investment in your future. And I think that's where the turning point hit for us was making that right investment, getting the right person that could really do what we were trying to accomplish. He believed in our vision
Mhm.
and understood what we were trying to get to. And it worked.
Yeah.
And again,
Also, on that other side of it, like, what a risk, like, what if it didn't work? And then what if, what and you
and I
had
think that
to
happens. Like
yeah.
we make bad decisions, and
Yeah.
I think as a leader of any organization, if you're not afraid to fail, I mean, you have to be afraid to fail. You
Right.
can't.
Right.
Now, look, I don't think about it, right? I've made a lot of
Right.
bad decisions, and I failed a
Right.
bunch,
Yep.
but I fail forward.
Yep. Do it scared. Do it scared. That's what
Yeah,
I
and
always say.
I just keep going.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. That's
I'm
good.
passionate about what I do, and I'm not scared to fail. I'm not scared to make a
Yeah.
bad decision. You know,
Yeah. I think you
um,
gotta make a lot of bad ones to make the good ones happen.
yeah,
So I think
I'm
that's
confident in my team, and I'm confident in myself. I'm
yeah.
confident in my work ethic, and I think that's the key is
Yeah.
that confidence shows through. And at the end of the day, I've done a lot of deals where I didn't make money, but I never not finished.
Right. There you
And
go.
I might have done a
Yep.
bad deal, but that's
Yep.
on me to learn. And
Right.
that's learning, right?
Yeah.
How do you
Yep.
learn as a business owner?
Yep.
You got to touch the stove here and there, and
Right.
you got to feel that burn. You
Right.
know,
Think about my 4-year-old when you said that because he's learned that lesson the hard way here
yes.
recently.
I
So
mean, we all have to figure out lessons the hard way.
that's
That's life,
that's
right?
that's encouraging. Yeah, that's good. I imagine, I don't know for sure, but I imagine people that will listen to this will just from that alone will probably get a lot out of this to know that
Yeah,
you're not
I'm sure.
alone in
I'm sure they've
failure.
touched the stove, right? It's just
Right. Right. You
I might
got
touch
to.
it again tomorrow.
Right.
Depends
That's
on the
right.
day.
Well, and that's a good, actually, kind of a good segue into growth because now you have, it's not just you and Jimmy anymore. It's your whole team that you've got to,
Yes,
lead
new
into,
team,
into
30,
knowing
30,
that
31 million in revenue this year.
that's
So
amazing. How many team members do you have?
think we have 138 FTEs.
Wow. Wow.
138.
That's
It changes every day. I just got a Teams from somebody named Madison that I never
welcome.
met before, and she was
Yeah.
just introducing herself to me, saying that thanking me for the opportunity to work here. So I need to go
That's
find her
yeah,
and
go find
shake her
Madison.
hand. Yes. So
But
I
how
appreciate her.
that even that alone, like for those people who feel stuck in, a certain, maybe it's a certain revenue bracket or can't get past the next hurdle, I think that just an encouragement of like, I don't even, somebody just started here, I don't even know who that is. Like that is, probably gonna
Well, it's so
also
weird now to
inspire a
like
lot of
it's so different now to walk around the building and not know everybody. And look at this point, like I'm not making those decisions, and I think
Right.
even some of the people that I've worked with in the industry come to me sometimes asking me questions, and I'm like, man, if you want my honest opinion, like I don't deal with that.
I'm
Like
not the best person to ask.
I can bring the
I
person
love
that,
it.
and I don't, and again, like I don't look. I come to work every day. This is not a lifestyle business for me,
Yeah.
but I also hire people to do a job,
Yep.
and it's their responsibility to
Yep.
do what's necessary. They know my vision, they know where I want to go, they know what I'm
Yep.
trying to accomplish, and I'm here to do it with them, and I'll
Right.
work with them. But a lot of the people that we have today, I mean, they're smarter than me.
I know. Yeah, you got to get out of their way because
Yeah,
sometimes
I
I've
just
learned as a leader, I can be much more of a hindrance than I can be a help
a
a lot of
lot. I've
times.
done that. If I could give anybody any advice, Laura, that would be the advice I would give is get out the
Yeah.
way because
Yep.
I've held this company back several times from trying to get involved in things that I shouldn't even be involved in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I just was listening, kind of a funny leadership moment. We've now got a new onboarding person on our team so that she handles exclusively onboarding, whereas I've been kind of in the handoff a little bit. I'm out now. And I was listening right before we got on this podcast today, listening to two members of my team who are in this week for our Christmas party, doing the onboarding together. It was really sweet, really like a good moment, a leadership moment for
awesome.
me to know, like, I'm just sitting here listening to them doing onboarding, and it's a, but I had to get out of the way, which is a good
Yes,
point. So,
yes.
okay, let's talk about when you made a decision. You just said that key hire was a big decision that impacted and shaped your growth. Was there any other kind of major decision that you feel like you made at any point where you're like, this was a turning point for us
I
growth
think
wise?
in 2019 we implemented EOS,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we were at a place where we had gotten to about 8 million in revenue. There was probably 40 employees, 35 employees at the time. There was really there was structure, but there wasn't structure, right?
Hmm.
And it just got messy.
Hmm.
2020 hit. We all know COVID hit, and we had talked about implementing EOS, and we took time within a quarter to really adopt EOS into the business and start setting these quarterly objectives and rocks and really working on things that were really getting us to our VTO, right? And
Yep.
really understanding like what's going to get us to where we're trying to go. And that's when we really
Yeah.
started fine tuning what an annual is and what does a quarterly look like. And you can always tell the business, like when you start to get like these rumblings and everything's getting frustrating. And like, that's when it's time to like have that quarterly and come
Yeah.
back together. Let's reconvene. Let's talk about some of the issues that are going on. And I think that
Yeah.
was really a really big pivotal moment for us
Yeah.
was implementing EOS and really if I just think about where we were then and where we are today, like look at the growth. And
Yeah.
and look, growth is hard in any stage, but going from 5 million to 10 million is a hard task. Going from 10 to 20 is even harder,
Mm.
right? Like
And a
that
lot of people don't get there because they plateau. I
it's
mean, you can
hard.
easily plateau.
Well,
Yeah.
it starts to expose the lack of process in your environment
Mm.
because at that level you can't be involved in all the things that go on each day. You're
Right.
gonna have process that gets missed, things that you wonder like, oh, whoa, why don't we do that anymore, right? Because you can't
Yep.
control all the aspects. So I think
That's
another thing
good.
that EOS does for you is helps you build structure and really looking at that accountability chart and
Yep.
understanding like where do people report to, because that's
Yeah.
really
That's
important.
good.
And look, we still it goes so fast for us. So
Yeah.
like we do struggle still today because we did 21 million last year. We did 31 this year. So
Yeah.
like that's a
Yeah.
big jump
That's a
again.
big jump in 1 year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it
If you
just
didn't have structure, that's where things would fall apart.
it
That's
does
good.
right. And it kind
Yeah.
of does. Like, and you gotta
Yeah.
like be able to, I don't know.
Reset.
I'm a big component of if everything's under control, like you're probably not going fast enough.
Yep. Yep.
So like
Yep.
sometimes you just gotta go and roll with it. And
Yeah.
got to have strong work ethic, and,
Yep.
and you got to be able to work on it every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
some of the difference today that I'm more focused on working on the business and I'm
Yes.
not in the business,
That's good.
you
That's
know.
good. And for those that are listening, if you hear him talk about EOS and you're not sure what it is, we have a webinar and a podcast with Lynn Askin on our YouTube. You can go back and look for, because he's actually an EOS implementer out of Lafayette, Louisiana, but
Awesome.
he teaches all the principles. So that's a good one.
Yes.
We're doing that too. We've got a kickoff plan next Friday
And
with him.
it works. It really
Yep,
does, Laura. I
it
mean,
does.
it's a pivotal moment.
We've
Sure.
self implemented to an extent by reading the book and doing it together. And then this is
Bring
the
an
ability.
implementer in.
Yes, somebody.
I
Yeah,
did it off the rip,
he's coming in next
Look,
Friday.
it's an accountability thing. I think
Yeah.
it's just like anything else. I think if you want to be good at something, you should hire a coach.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady had a coach for a
Yep.
reason, and maybe
Yep.
a few different coaches. You might have
Yeah.
a life coach, and you may have a business coach, and you may have a
Yep.
religion coach, and
Yep.
all these different things. I think I'm a big component of that. I
Yep.
did competitive bodybuilding for 4 years, so I had a coach,
Yeah.
and I had a nutrition coach.
Probably a few. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I mean, I
Exactly.
think that's the thing. It's sometimes it's just the accountability
Yeah.
is what's
That's
crucial,
good.
you
That's
know.
good. All right. So let's talk about metrics. And I know you said you're not, in it, you're working on
But
it.
I
So
know what the
that's,
metrics are.
you know what the
I have
metrics are.
metrics, though. I have
So
KPIs. I
that's
mean,
right. Well, what
yeah,
are they? Let's talk about it. What are your,
well, I
how do you
think from
gauge
my
success?
size, at my size today, I'm more focused on looking at my whip and understanding my speed to cash and
Yep.
conversion rate and things of that
Yep.
nature. I look at my pipeline very deep when it comes
Yep.
to, from a sales perspective, to understand the revenue that's going to get sold versus the revenue that's going to get converted. I'm not so much as involved on the day to day side when it comes to like how many tickets are we doing a day. I don't know that
Right.
number now.
Right.
I'm sure Matt
It's
knows.
somebody else's
Oh,
scorecard.
he
Right.
knows. Yeah, it's on his
Yeah.
scorecard.
Yeah.
And I think that evolves over time. But I
Right.
think that the biggest problem that I've recognized within people's businesses is they go in and try to implement KPIs, and they implement too many
Mm.
at one time.
Or they're
And
not moving the business forward. They're numbers that aren't really moving the business forward.
yes, and I've done that. Like I've done that
Yeah.
myself.
Same.
And like
Yeah.
that changes. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even look at that anymore. Like
Yeah. Yep.
sometimes like I used to have cash on hand as one of my KPIs, like to look
Yeah.
at it. I don't
Yeah.
look at that anymore. Like I know
Right.
I got cash,
Right.
you know.
Right. Right.
So I think that's where understanding the business from different layers. Now I do think you have to
Yeah.
help people in departments evolve KPIs too. Because
Right.
sometimes old KPIs may not even make sense anymore because of the way our process is done today. So I
Right.
think that understanding, but if you bring in the right leaders too, like leaders
They know
understand
that.
that, like
Right.
they're gonna
Right.
build that. Like
Right.
they're gonna
If
tell you what KPIs you should be managing. But like some of the
right.
biggest things that I hear all the time is like, I don't know how to manage salespeople. And I'm like, okay, like, why don't we start with some KPIs?
Managing the number. Yeah. The numbers. Yeah.
It really, like, I think salespeople are the easiest one to manage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, they'll
It's
look
all
at me
out
like, what do you mean?
there.
I'm like, well, it's very easy. How many
Yeah.
calls do they make versus how many conversions come through? That means a conversion in my world is I set a meeting with someone and they accepted it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
How many of those meetings convert to a quote?
Yep.
How many quotes convert to closed deal?
Yeah.
Like, just start there
Yeah.
and like reverse engineer that. And
Yep.
and just like anything else, not everybody's gonna be the same because one guy might have to make 75 calls
Right.
to get to a
Right.
conversion where one person
Exactly.
make 30. Like, and
Right.
that's okay. And then study that data and track that week by week by week on an Excel spreadsheet. You
Yeah.
don't have to overcomplicate it and have some expensive CRM
Right.
and just manage that way.
Yeah.
And in my
Yeah.
opinion,
It's a numbers game. It really is.
and the salesperson should manage their KPIs. Like
Right.
you're managing the outcome.
Right.
They're
Right.
just gonna if they can't tell you their number, like that's your fault from not managing them properly.
Right.
That's an
Right. Yeah.
accountability thing, you
I was
know?
gonna say, is it that we can't manage the sales team, or we don't want to make the hard decisions or look at
Yes,
the data and
because
be
it
able to make
sucks. It's not
decisions? Yeah.
fun to fire people.
No. Right.
Like that is
Nope.
that's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to take your heart out of it and you
Right.
have to put your business hat on and
Right.
we're either moving things forward or we're not.
Right.
And I
Right.
think you have to give people an opportunity now. I've been the guy where I've failed too fast,
Mm.
but I've also been on the other hand where I failed slow.
Hmm.
It's a healthy balance of I think the biggest thing that I see where I failed, Laura, in building a sales organization is expectations, not
Mm,
setting proper expectations up from the beginning, and
mm.
then it's not a surprise.
Yeah, yeah,
Now it's
that's good.
easy.
And then you don't have to be mean. If the
It's easy.
expectations are set, and we're doing the same thing with clients right now.
Yes,
Like we don't
as you
have
should.
if you don't set the proper expectations on the front end, then scope creep happens or things get a little, cloudy
Every time.
on the side end.
Yeah,
So
it's all about expectations, and I think that's, the biggest thing is I don't like surprises, nor should they like surprises. And I think if
right,
you just, look, some people will tell you, "Oh, I didn't think I was doing bad," but I
right.
think again, going back to EOS and doing the people analyzer and
Yep.
scoring people. Now, look, some of it is a little overkill. Do I think
Yeah.
you could do weekly one-on-ones? No, I,
Right.
I don't think you should. You're not
Right.
you're not
Right.
moving much in a week.
Right. Right. And if people
Now,
are doing their job, then they should be independent enough to not
they don't
need
have
him.
time to do it. You can't change. You're not going to change in a week.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Now, can you
Yep.
change in a month? Sure. Can you
Yeah.
improve?
Absolutely.
And I think monthly discussions at that
Yeah.
level, and even at my level today, like at this size, like I don't have a one-on-one with my CFO every month. Like
Mhm.
we meet in our weekly leadership meeting and we know what's going
Right.
on, but we more
But
of a
you have the
quarter.
data. You have the reporting and the data you need to
I
go
can
find
go
at
to them
each
and ask
time if
questions.
you want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
That's good.
I got a temperature check on my business at all
Yeah.
times,
Yeah. That's
Um,
good. I love it. Okay. So good. I feel like we're going to have to do a part two. But I do like to leave these in a format where it's like they can digest, listeners can digest pretty quickly. So
yes.
what about opportunities for not only you, but MSPs in general in the next 2 to 3 years,
Oh,
telecommunications, anything that
huge.
you're seeing, that you're hearing? No, it's not slowing
Compliance.
down. So,
No,
okay.
I think compliance is a big hit right now with all of the CMMC stuff going on
Yeah.
for people with federal contracts. I think cyber is a big play that is still very immature and changing very quickly. I think cloud conversions and migrating companies into the cloud and helping them understand how to implement technology to improve
Yes.
their businesses. Look, I
Yes.
think it really boils down to process. And if you can help implement process into organizations, like that's when you're a true value partner.
Yeah.
I don't look at as us as like your computer's broken and we'll fix it. Like we do that. Like it's part
Yeah.
of it, but that's
Right.
not what you're paying me for.
That's not the value that we're adding.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you're more paying to understand. I think people are looking for business continuity to ensure
Yep.
that the backups are there and that they're secure.
And wanting
And I
stuff
think
to
that's
work.
the base layer, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
we move into building a good roadmap and a technology budget
Yep.
and understanding that we work well with rapid growth companies because
Yep.
we know that they're going to need us as we
Yep.
evolve their
They
processes.
need that
That-
flexibility
Yes,
and yep. Yep.
that's the real key.
Yep.
Onboarding and offboarding of employees, it's a challenge that most companies face. I
Yep.
think there's a lot of opportunity there to help people improve that process to where they
Yep.
have employees starting out on the right foot with the right
Yep.
access to the right
Yep.
systems that they need.
Yeah. That's
Um,
good. Yeah.
huge, huge opportunity in this space.
I think if you're listening, if you're an MSP listening and you don't feel like your customers see you as a part of their organization and a true non-negotiable in terms of moving their business forward, then that should be kind of maybe
Red flag.
a yeah, a red flag or something that
Yes.
you should look at. I think that's a good
It's a
tip.
it's a partnership.
Right. And should be. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much. Again, so much more to say, but this is just a great inspiration to so many. If someone's looking to get in touch with you or wants to know more about you and your organization, where would they go? You're
I'm
LinkedIn?
heavy on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
Shawn, it's SHAWN, Torres, Torres. I'm pretty easy to find and access.
Yeah.
Like I tell my
Pretty
buddy,
active.
just Google me.
That's
So,
right. That's right. Could be bad,
so
could be good. You never
I
know.
know,
That's
right?
right.
I got some content out there, but again, I'm very responsive when it comes to LinkedIn. If anybody ever has questions or needs help, I'm an open book.
Love it.
I'm not doing anything that's a secret, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Just
more than
working really
willing to help
hard.
anybody.
That's encouraging.
You know,
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Shawn. And thank
so
you for
thank you,
listening to the
Laura.
No Grow Scale podcast.
Thank y'all.